life takes us places, whether it's a trip across the country or just getting through a busy day.
We recently went to New York to see my sister get her nursing degree. It gets cold on the plane. I was really glad I had my Bits hoodie. I covered up with it and felt nice and warm.
Comfort on the go makes all the difference. The Bits hoodie keeps you warm and cozy no matter where life takes you. So whether you're traveling or just out and about, stay prepared with Bits. Visit joinbits.org to get your hoodie today.
This has been an ACB community call.
This Community Unmuted was originally live on Saturday, February 1st, 2025. A huge shout out and thanks to all of our club members. Visit unmute.show to join Club Unmute.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unmute. I just want to remind everyone that we are going to take all first hands, and if we have enough time, then we can take second questions. And also, please be respectful to each other and give everyone the same respect that you would want. And let's see, the question of the day today is going to be currently, what is your favorite podcast that you're listening to? I would say right now, mine has been MacGeekGab, which is a super awesome podcast. So I would say check that out. And we have Liz with us today. How you doing, Liz?
Hello, doing okay. How are you?
I am good, thank you. And what's your favorite podcast, Liz, that you're currently listening to?
I am not currently listening to many podcasts, at least not in the past week. So I don't have an answer. Although I guess I could shamelessly plug the Penny Forward podcast that I am a co-host on.
There you go.
Go listen to that. Everyone.
There you go.
In your podcast platform of choice.
Here you go. And we also have Michael Babcock with us. How you doing, Michael?
I am doing well. My favorite podcast right now is not tech related. It is called History That Doesn't Suck. And I love that podcast. So if you're interested in an engaging history story podcast, I love the way that they tell stories and make things easier to understand and cleaner. Check out History That Doesn't Suck in your favorite podcast app.
Awesome. And Chris just joined us as well. Hey, Chris. And while she's getting going, let's go for hands. Looks like we got
just before we jump into hands, Michael D. I think I've seen you in here as well. If you don't mind sharing real quick what your favorite podcast app is, or podcast is.
Hi, everybody. My favorite podcast, anything on the Twit network is This Week in Tech is probably my favorite podcast that I listen to.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Tammy, who do we have first?
Jane Sue.
Hi, just a couple questions. One is they changed the keyboard commander on my Mac again with Sequoia. I've never seen the keyboard commander. Now I can't figure out how to do the whole shortcut thing. It's not the see, I was in Ventura for like months. Now there's more controls. Is there a way to make my life a little bit easier here on how to...
So I suspect other people may have some solutions. Off the top of my head, I will tell you I'm not a huge fan of the way that they've laid it out, but I also have not sat down to spend time to figure out how to actually navigate the new commander. It looks like after I click on this, it looks like they have a couple of radio buttons here and some checkboxes that you check. So if anyone has any feedback / comments on navigating the new commanders in Sequoia, please raise your hand and let Jane and us know.
Hey, it's Chris here.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Sound great.
Oh, awesome. Okay, something works. That's great. So I know that the keyboard commander is different and it completely moved. And I don't know a lot about it myself, but I think that Tyler may have done a demo or two on the AppleVis podcast. And so I would check in on the AppleVis website because I believe Tyler did some demo. And I know there was a recent demo or two because I do know it changed a lot. So
Sweet. Thank you. So yeah, check out AppleVis and type in Commander in the search field. All right.
I'm going to go to
Tammy.
Brad because he has his hand raised, and
Hey, Brad.
he may have someone in Clubhouse, or he may have
Hello.
some advice.
He may have some
I have
advice.
actually spent a lot of time with this Commander thing, which is
Thank
now
you.
called Commands, because I've had to teach it several times since September. Everything that used to be there is still there. What they did is they got rid of all the little tabs that separated everything, trackpad, keyboard commander, which is now called option key commands, and all those things that were nicely separated, and just threw them into one big screen. If you go through and navigate it, you will find that everything that used to be there is still there. Once you navigate on down towards the bottom, you get to where you have the old familiar, there's a button you have to press to open it up, but it's the grid that had all of your commands. They're still there. Once you spend a little time with it, they got two ways. They have a list mode and the grid mode. And just stick to the grid. Forgive me if I'm not calling it the right thing, but you'll find once you spend some time with it, it's pretty much the same. One thing I had several keyboard commands that don't seem to work anymore. I had one that raised and lowered the volume of VoiceOver relative to the system volume, and something else for increasing and decreasing VoiceOver speech rate, and none of those seem to work. So I'm back to using the voice attributes rotor. They don't call it the speech attributes rotor anymore. Lots of little things changed. But if you go in there and spend some time with it, you will find it's not so overwhelming as it seems on first look.
Can you
And
repeat?
I think
Sorry, I was going to say, can you repeat what they call the options? Because Jane joined about the time you were saying that.
Yeah,
rejoined.
they use what they used to call keyboard. First of all, they don't call it commanders anymore. They call it commands. And what used to be called keyboard commander is now called option key commands.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I think one of the big things that threw me off, and thank you, Brad, for explaining that, because I actually was looking at it while you were talking. At the very bottom of the screen, so if you do VO end, it puts you on the help button, and then you VO left arrow a couple of times. You're going to have two radio buttons. One is built in and one is user. And in order for you to actually get that edit button to become available, it looks like you have to switch that to user for the radio buttons, and then you can hit edit, and then that puts you on the column browser or table browse to be able to assign those.
Yes. Thank you very much, because I neglected to mention that. But yeah, that is, and what you'll find is, even if you choose user, all of the predefined ones are still there. You're just now able to add to it. And what is nice is if you lost track of what you had, you could just go back to what they call built in, but then you can't modify them. They're there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They've made it unnecessarily complicated. It was just fine before, and they took something that wasn't broken and decided to fix it.
I hope that gives you enough resources there, Jane, to be able to get started with it. Thanks, Brad, for chiming in. And Tammy, who do we got next?
Beth.
Hey, Beth.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys. Yeah, my favorite podcast, I would say, is I like I like yours, but I also like Dr. Phil. He has a podcast. It's the best of Dr. Phil, but mostly I like his fill in the blanks. It's spelled PHIL, like his name in the blanks. It just, he has different guests on and just different topics, and I like that too. So, and
perfect, Beth.
Yeah, I have a question. I tried to put the notifications off on my iPhone. I went to Do Not Disturb, and I selected the notifications. I didn't want on because I was reading a book on Bard, and I just couldn't get it. And yesterday, somebody was reading something to me, and it said Bible, and that, of course, interrupted. I accidentally double tapped instead of trying to two tap, one tap with two fingers to stop the speech. So I'm not the do not disturb doesn't seem to be working, either that or I'm doing something wrong. So thanks.
Well, there's if you go into settings and then you go into, what is it called? Is it do not disturb? No, that's just
It's
one
focus.
of the focus. You have to kind of customize it. There is one that's actually called do not disturb, and by default it just kind of blocks everything, but otherwise you need to customize it, which things you want to come through or not to come through in terms of apps on your phone. So, for example, if you want messages to be able to come through but nothing else, then you add messages. Or maybe you want email to come through and nothing else, or maybe only both of those. So you put that in what you want to come through and what you don't want to come through. And it's the same thing with the contacts. If you want someone to be able to get through, then you add them. And if you don't want anyone to come through, then you don't add them. But you do customize them. And once you have picked the one that you customize, then you activate that one. So there's, you can activate there's a whole bunch of them you can do. So you can have more than one.
This is Chris. If you turn on Do Not Disturb with the S Lady and just say, turn on Do Not Disturb, then everything's blocked. You don't have to fiddle around with going anywhere. That's what I do to silence all of the notifications if you want to do that.
Just remember to turn it back on or off. Yeah. When you're done.
Well, that's easy. Then whatever, I'm reading a book or whatever, then I just, before turn on Do Not Disturb.
Correct.
And then I just read whatever notifications, like whatever they had, whatever. Okay.
Right. Whatever notifications, you'll be able to go and read them whenever you're ready to do that.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Who do we got next, Tammy?
Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Hello. This is Bobby Vinton. You remember me, I'm totally blind, obviously. And I don't want to gear off the Apple topic, but I do have a BlindShell Classic 2. And one of the remaining questions was, how do I turn on Do Not Disturb on it? Is there something worded differently? I'm not trying to be stupid or anything. I've listened to Michael. I've listened to every single one of your things, and they're just wonderful, wonderful podcast, little, tidbits. And Adrian, I've listened to him, but I have not found anything on the Do Not Disturb.
Michael, do you happen to know? I don't have a BlindShell.
Bobby,
so.
you're talking about on the BlindShell, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not called Do Not Disturb. It's called Night Mode. And if you go into Sounds and then you go down to Profile, you can set Night Mode to be on silent and then pick the days and times that you want that night mode to apply. And then your phone will automatically switch to silent, which gives you the same experience as Do Not Disturb on the iPhone.
Oh my God. You cleared that up with me. Thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome, and thanks for reaching out. You have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Tammy.
Next up is 303-935.
Good morning, everyone. This is Petra. It may be a frustration that's only for me, but I hope not. Oftentimes when people mention apps or things that they really like and that I'm interested in, they'll say the name, but they don't spell it. And sometimes, of course, if I'm listening to Double Tap or Jonathan, their accent is a little different. And sometimes they deliberately just play around with words and pronounce them strangely. The one I'm interested in, Janine Stanley did a demo of an app that was called something like Orion, that could actually look around and tell you where things were and guide you to them. Do any of you know about that app and how to spell it? I tried to find it and I couldn't.
It's Chris. It's 2 O's. So it's OORION. So I guess they're
Okay.
saying Orion. So 2 O's.
OORIAN.
No. OORION.
OORION. Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have a favorite podcast. I have several that I listen to. And at the moment, I kind of like them all. Thank you.
Up next is Janet, right?
Hey, Janet.
Good morning, everybody. My favorite right now is either the one that Desiree Renee does, Blind Tech with Desiree Renee, or Unmute Presents is mine. And I have a question. I go into settings, I go into apps, I go into mail, and I'm trying to set my mail so that it deletes itself, but it's not working.
So you said so it deletes itself?
Yeah, so you can have it. You can have it delete what's in your trash every day or every week or never or every month.
That
And
might
it
be
doesn't.
a Michael Doyce question. Do you happen to know, Michael?
I'm not Michael Doyce, but I am looking here. And so if I understand what you're trying to do there, you're trying to get it to automatically clear out your trash. And did this used to work?
Not
'Cause
that I
I've
know of. I've never
never
played
done
it
that
until
myself.
recently, but it hasn't worked.
Okay.
I have never done it either. I mean, I know you could go in and you can delete all your trash at one time, sort of, but never automated.
Okay, so this is Chris. I'm wondering if you're trying to do this all on your phone. What device are you trying to do?
My iPhone. Yeah, my
Okay,
iPhone.
I don't think there's a setting for that. I think are you using Gmail?
No, no, I'm not using Gmail. I'm using a I have an email through my husband's website.
Okay, so it might be something to do with the server that stores that email. And so it may be a little bit more complicated to get it to delete your trash, because I don't think there's ever been a way to do that on the iPhone. I think it has to do with the mail server settings where it deletes it from the server. So maybe it would be then deleted from your phone. But that would be my best guess.
I think, yep, Chris, you are right. You would need to set up a rule or something like that on the server that after a certain amount of time, it would delete the trash. That would really be on the mail server side. So like if you go to, if you can log into your email from a website, then you would change the settings for that if that's possible on the website.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how that works. I would ask y'all. So okay, y'all cleared it up for me. So y'all have a wonderful Saturday. I was gonna say Wednesday, but it's Saturday.
Whatever day it is.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
That's a novel concept, deleting email. I don't know what that means. Tammy, who do we got next?
626637.
Okay. The last time I upgraded my Braille Sense U2, everything went haywire and I had trouble. Now that I have a Braille Sense 6, I need to upgrade that. And I'm going to back up everything before I upgrade it. But I want to know still, is it going to, like my email setup, is it going to destroy that when I upgrade? Will I have to reset that? Am I going to have to, what's going to happen if I upgrade that? Am I going to destroy a link?
I'm not going to guarantee that it will not break anything because, as most systems tell you, it's important to back up before you do any upgrade because things can happen. I have not heard of this being an issue with the upgrade. However, again, I'm not going to guarantee that it's not going to destroy anything, so I do recommend you proceed the way that you already said you were going to by backing up your data before upgrading.
And also, I
back it up and then I put in the backup thing to restore it, it's going to go right back to the way it was.
So this is Chris. I would call HIMS and ask them these questions because they're the ones that would best know the answers to. I would assume that your settings are saved and that your accounts are saved, because I don't know of a way to back that up. I don't have that device myself, but this is a good tech support for HIMS. Backing up your documents and everything is always a good idea, but I am uncertain of your account settings and that, and I would definitely reach out to HIMS and ask them these questions.
I think I'd better do it with them on the line.
There you go, Stacy. That's a great idea. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great Saturday.
Oh, I will.
Tammy, who do we got
I
next?
don't want to get with us then, I'm afraid to.
For sure. Tammy, who do we got next?
Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I've never been to this before. This is great.
Thanks.
Surgery. I've got an iPhone question. I'm using an SE 2022, if that means anything. So when I blocked the caller ID on the phone, it doesn't have any impact on FaceTime or WhatsApp. So when I went to FaceTime, because I've looked this up on countless websites, and it says in order to shield your ID on FaceTime, then you go to settings and then go into FaceTime and then hide your caller ID. Whereas on my iPhone, I don't have that. I've got the settings so I go into the main settings, and then under FaceTime, there's an ID heading, and then my phone number and email address underneath that. So there's the heading, and then they're separate double tappable bits. And I don't seem to be able to do anything with that.
There used to be a code, I forget what it is, but you put it before the phone number that you call, and then it blocks your phone number. But I'm not sure if there's a way to make it so that your phone number is always blocked, unless you call your carrier and have them block your phone number, so that when you call other people, it says no caller ID or unknown caller or something like that. But then you can't unblock it when you want to.
It's fine with blocking your ID on the telephone side.
Mm-hmm.
I have a job where they sort of demand that, so I can turn it off and on. I don't need it permanently blocked. I don't know what it is in America, but like in the UK, it's 147, 141. But that only works on landlines. It doesn't work on an iPhone. But I'm talking about FaceTime.
When you call someone on FaceTime, I don't think it shows your phone number at all, as far as I know. Because usually your FaceTime is identified by either your Apple ID, which could be your email address, and it does show your phone number, but not when you call someone or when they call you. As far as I know,
it depends on what you have your settings set to in FaceTime. So if you go in settings and then FaceTime, you can have it. I think it's now settings apps FaceTime. You can select if people will see if you're placing calls from your phone number or from an email address like your Apple ID.
Okay, that doesn't really help with my identity, I don't think.
So you could create an Apple ID that is not based on your email, and then make it cool.
So have like a sort of, neutral at ABC or something. I'm just being silly, but
right. You just make up a fake email, create an Apple ID with that email, and then just use that for FaceTime. Because I think you can have, and I think even with iCloud, you might be able to create other email addresses and be known as that when people see your caller ID in FaceTime.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm going to have to look up how to create an Apple ID now. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Next up is 518 ending in 517.
Hi, this is Mary Beth.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Mary Beth.
Hey, I have a quick question. A while ago, I had an email problem. Some of my emails were missing, and I called the Microsoft help desk. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, I am one of those people who deletes stuff from my trash every day. There's a setting in Outlook. That's the only place I've ever seen it. Okay, so I have Outlook for my email. So I call Microsoft. They say, we'll fix it. Well, they did, except that they created an extra inbox. So now I have 2 inboxes with the same stuff in it from a certain date. So guess what? The last people I want to call to fix this is the Microsoft Help Desk. Is there a way, like, can I just delete that whole folder from that extra inbox with thousands of emails? Any suggestions will be welcomed. Thanks.
So I'll jump in because it doesn't sound like anyone else has any suggestions right now. And I'm going to tell you to do what you don't want to do. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I don't know why or what the reasoning is for Microsoft Disability Answer Desk to create a second inbox. I suspect you could delete that second inbox, but I would call them anyways and say, hey, here's the situation. You guys created a second inbox. I'm not certain why. Can I delete that? Because I can tell you to go delete it and then it breaks your email, and getting it from the people who probably took, if they did it right, they took notes on why it is they created that second inbox. And maybe it is you actually need to delete the first inbox and the second one will make everything work right. So I would personally reach back out to them and say, hey, what's the deal with this? Why is there a second inbox and can I delete it?
Okay. I mean, they never said it. I just discovered it after the call was over. You know?
Yep. And that's why I would reach. So they probably put some notes into, because when you call, they ask for your name and your email address and stuff. Right. And so they probably put some notes in your profile for why it is that they created that second inbox.
Okay, I'll just buck up and give them a call. Thanks.
I would
no worries,
also,
Mary Beth. Go ahead,
before
Liz.
you call them, I would verify the state of that other inbox. Are those emails duplicates? Because let's say they say, oh yeah, we'll just delete that, and you haven't done that, you still could lose things. So I would do your due diligence prior to calling them back.
Caution.
Sorry.
No, they're duplicates, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're right. You're absolutely right. And the only things that might be affected is what happens occasionally is that one of them will go ahead of the other, but then they just sync after a while. You know, like after an hour, we'll say. Okay, thank you guys.
Yep.
Up next is Roberta.
Hey, Roberta.
Good morning. So my favorite podcast is a podcast called Hidden Brain, and it explores the hidden side of our brain, our unconscious and subconscious brain activity.
Well, that sounds interesting.
It is very, very interesting. I have a quick question, and then, if I can, a second question that I don't know if it's quick or not. A few weeks ago, I saw an email on one of the lists that said there was in a Windows upgrade broke the Alt-Tab function to change from app to app. And does anyone know if that's still a problem?
I'm going to let
I didn't know it was a problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never encountered this. I think I read, Chris? Oh, I thought Chris was going to say something.
No, I haven't encountered it either, but I read about it.
Yeah, I read about it and I have not encountered it as well.
Okay. So my major question has to do with, I'm using Microsoft 365, Windows 10, JAWS 24, dot something. And in Outlook, when I am trying to create a new folder, and the folder tab does not show up when my focus is on a folder and I hit the Alt tab expecting to go to a series of tabs like file, view, edit, folder, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that shows up is a system menu that says I can either move or close. Any thoughts?
You said you're on the list of folders on a folder and you hit Alt Tab and you're getting a system menu?
No. It says nothing to do with Alt Tab.
That's what I heard. So I'm just trying to clarify.
I use the Alt key to get to the ribbons. So I'm in my list of folders in Outlook, and I want to create a new folder. And when I hit the Alt key, expecting to find a series of tabs, I only find one, and it is System, and the only choices are Move, Close. Now, if I'm in a folder in a list of emails, and hit the Alt key, there are a series of tabs, but none of them, I've tabbed through everything I can think of, and I cannot find anything to create a new folder.
It sounds like you're using the new Outlook. Is that correct?
By new, do you mean the new view as opposed to Outlook Classic?
Yeah. So when you type
I apologize. I'm using the Classic, Outlook Classic.
Okay, you're using Outlook Classic and you're unable to. So when you shift, I need to look into this a little bit because I don't use folders in my email. So if anyone else has any suggestions for Roberta, please raise your hand or try. Let us know and we can help with this. I'm gonna do some experimentation here real quick and see if I can figure out what's going on there for you, Roberta. Okay.
Thank you.
Michael, this is Marcy. Could her ribbons be hidden with the Control F1?
Ooh.
Also, to create a new folder, you just have to press Control Shift E in Outlook, give the folder a name, and then tab to where you want to put it, to the location of where you want to put it.
Thank you, Marcy. Control Shift E. Yeah,
that's how you
try
create a new
that,
folder.
Roberta, and that
Okay.
should get you into the create folder dialog.
And what was the thing that my ribbons might be hidden?
It's Control F1 to toggle the hiding of the ribbons and the showing of the ribbons.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will try those both.
I can
Thank you.
verify that Control Shift E does indeed bring up the dialog to create a folder.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Who do we got next there?
Up next is Tanya.
Hey,
Hey, Tanya.
Hi, I have two questions. One question is about airplane mode because I take walks and I have nosy neighbors, and I'm a woman who lives alone in a beautiful house that my daddy left for me after he passed. And there's a couple neighbors who like to find me or follow me when I take my walk. So I keep my phone on airplane mode, but periodically a car can drive by and the phone goes bump, 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 and it's letting me know someone's either trying to sync it, they're trying to Bluetooth it, or they're trying to Wi-Fi it. And one of my iPhones got damaged that way. So I got this other one, but I've had it for 2 years. And I don't know if this is going to have to require an upgrade later or not. My other question is these passkeys. The other problem I have is with my Amazon deliveries and people using Alexa, or I don't know how they're getting into my Amazon account. I don't know if they've got a passkey because I've got my phone signed into Amazon. I don't use the passkey, but every now and then when I log into Amazon, it wants me to give it a passkey, and I never asked for a passkey or gave it a passkey. So does Gmail. Gmail from time to time will want me to give them a passkey, and I don't understand why they're doing that.
Well, on the airplane mode, the first question is, I don't think that airplane mode turns off Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I think it only turns off data or cellular. So if somebody tried to give you a phone call, then it wouldn't go through. It would go straight to voicemail probably. And but I don't think that it disables Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So if there was Wi-Fi around or Bluetooth devices around, that they would still work. So it's not totally making your phone disabled from the world.
And then regarding passkeys. Oh, go ahead.
Wait.
Sorry.
So you're telling me if I take a walk and I've got, these same 3 bully, nosy neighbors who like to follow me, and they get too close to me in a parking lot or a store, they could connect to my phone with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, even though I have it on airplane mode.
I don't know how they would do
permission.
it. I don't know how they would do that. I mean, I guess if someone knew how to do that, then yes. I was just trying to say that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth do not get disabled when you're in airplane mode. So yeah, I mean, you're not closed off to the world when you're in airplane mode.
It's Chris. In order to connect to Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, they would have to have some kind of a password, and I do not know how this is possible at all. And Marty's right about Bluetooth and Wi-Fi still being on because you can use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on an airplane. So Yeah. So I don't have any idea how anyone could get in there unless they worked for the FBI.
And
You know.
here's another thing. If, let's say you're out for a walk, right? There's no way that somebody can get on your phone unless you were on the same Wi-Fi network, which would be pretty impossible if you're just out and about and you're not even connected to Wi-Fi. Because let's say, for example, when you're at home and you're on your Wi-Fi, when you leave your house and you get out of range of your house, your Wi-Fi will no longer work because you've left your house and you're not in range of that Wi-Fi connection anymore. So unless you're automatically connected to another Wi-Fi, then your phone would not be on Wi-Fi.
That's what I don't want them to do. I don't want these men connecting my phone to the neighborhood app. They've got a neighborhood app and they sync their routers. So if I take a walk and I have my phone on certain settings, my phone will connect to that Wi-Fi. So AT&T, their disability department, gave me a different type of phone that is not supposed to connect. And so far, I'm not aware of it connecting when I take these walks.
The safer thing to do when you go out on a walk, if you don't want to worry about other Wi-Fi networks, is turn off your Wi-Fi before you go out. And then it would be impossible to be on any Wi-Fi network. So if you don't want to, take the chance of connecting or anything like that to another Wi-Fi, before you leave your house, turn off your Wi-Fi. And you could easily do that by either going into Control Center and turning off your Wi-Fi, or going into Settings, Wi-Fi, and turn off your Wi-Fi there. And as long as your Wi-Fi is off, then nobody can connect to your phone.
Well,
Or
you
and you can't connect to anybody else's Wi-Fi because you're not broadcasting. Your phone is not broadcasting, so it's not going to show you any available Wi-Fi networks as long as your Wi-Fi is off, and nobody else will be able to see your device if it's trying to scan because your Wi-Fi is turned off now. So if you're worried about that, then I would turn off your Wi-Fi before you leave your house, and it would be probably a safer bet for you.
Well, that's what I've been doing, and I feel comfortable with that. The other thing AT&T told me to do is make sure I change my personal hotspot password and don't turn that personal hotspot button on.
Yeah, I would leave that off as well.
Thank you. Now the passkeys.
With that, honestly, if you are getting requests for passkeys that you haven't ever set up, I would strongly recommend, as much as it may be a pain to do, going into whichever accounts you have that associated with and changing your password.
Oh my goodness. So you mean somebody else could actually set up a passkey on my
I
Amazon?
don't know what's going on, but that would be my recommendation, because you don't know. And I don't know, but if you can get into your accounts, I would definitely change your passwords to be
that's what
on
I've
the
been
safe
doing.
side.
That's what I've been doing. And Amazon once let me know that my account was signed into 4 apps. And I'm trying to figure this out. How did my account get signed into 4 apps? Thank you.
Well, one way maybe it was signed into Alexa, maybe it was signed into some other things, but passkeys, in my understanding, are physical devices that you have. They're actually physical things that you have with you. So if you don't have one of those, maybe Amazon is trying to get you to get one of those. It might be just an advertising thing. So somebody has to have a physical device to use on a computer to sign in to your account, is my understanding. So,
yeah, usually they look like a thumb drive. You know what a little thumb drive is? Usually they look like that. And if you have one of those and you're using that for password protection, it's impossible to log on to any one of your things unless you use that. But you have to have it set up correctly. So say you were going to go into your computer and you have a passkey set up, like an actual little piece of hardware, a USB-C or a USB device, you would actually have to put that into your computer in order to authenticate and get in. And if you didn't have that, you couldn't get in at all.
A passkey is actually something that is stored on your computer, that is usually stored in the a secure part of your phone or your computer, or even your iCloud, or certain accounts that can be used to log you in. And certain services offer those. There are physical devices; those are a little bit different from a passkey. But you can set up passkeys to work on your iPhone and different things. But you have to go in and set those up manually. It's not something that it's different from a password. So,
Okie dokie. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Next up, we have iPhone.
It might be Deborah.
That's you.
Hey,
Hey.
what is your opinion on like when I'm registering for something and then they want your you have to set up a password, but then I don't know if I can trust how Google said they can do, give you the password, or would it be better to make your own password?
I would say it's always better to make your own password so you know what it is if you ever need to use it.
Okay, yeah. So now some of them already got the Google password, and then they got so many accounts, and I have to like search which one is which that I had used. But then how can I guess I just have to like go to forgot password to change it to my own password?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes,
Depending
in
on the
those
service
cases,
that you're
absolutely.
using.
Okay,
But
thank you.
in creating your own password, it's always a good idea to make sure that you're practicing safe password creation steps, not using something like password 1234 or something like that, because you creating your own password. In creating your own password, you want to make sure that it's something that you can remember. And the password rules a lot of times force you to be more creative with that kind of thing. But you want to make sure that you have a strong, secure password on any account that you have.
And if you have things with lots of passwords, then possibly an option would be a password manager. Michael Doyce, you want to talk about password managers for a quick sec?
sure. So password managers can generate passwords, and when you use a password manager like 1Password, or Google has their own password manager, Apple has their own. It's a passwords app on the iPhone, but a password manager allows you to generate very strong passwords and store those so you don't have to remember those. And it even usually allows you to share those passwords with friends or family so that they can get the password securely and not have to email or send a text message with a password where anybody else can get that code.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
And there's different options, just like anything. There's different password managers. They have different offerings. They do different things. Some cost different amounts. So it's definitely worth looking into and seeing what would work for you, what would be best suited for your needs.
So that means somebody I know passed away, like a family member, and I can't get access to their phone so we can get shared then, right?
Correct. Usually in a password manager, you have what's called like a password vault, and in there you can assign another family member to share that. If anything were to ever happen to you and you wanted to make sure that your stuff is all protected, they would be able to have access to the password information to be able to access your device to get any important information off there if anything were to ever happen to you, or vice versa. You can add family members to it. And then you can have other places in the password manager that, nobody has access to except you. You kind of can customize them to whatever your needs are. And so if you're someone who's got a lot of different applications that you're using a lot of different passwords, this way you only have to really remember one password. That would be the password, your main password to that manager, and it would generate all of the other passwords to the other things. And it's really long, protected, passwords that'd be really, really hard for anyone to try to figure out. And you don't have to remember them. So it would be good to do a little reading on it and see if a password manager would be good for you and which one if you decided to do one. They're all a little bit different and they all have different offerings.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Up next is Beth.
Hey, Beth.
Okay. Yeah. You were talking about that. I do have a password. It's an app that says passwords. When I updated my phone, it had that automatically. So I just go in and just will like where I can leave my passwords, like a list passwords, and then probably passwords I use on my computer, right? Because Amazon Music I use phone, but Amazon to buy things I use on my computer, so I can write like any password. It will like say editable text, like it always says, and I can write in my password, write my passwords in there.
Yeah, the one that you're talking about's on the iPhone. It's on
Yeah.
Apple products. It's that one is like Apple's version of that, but that would only be on Apple products. You'd have to get a different for if you're using Windows.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yes, that is a password manager. That's Apple's version of it, and they put it for free on all of their Apple devices. So if you have Windows or any other devices, you would have to find one that would work on those. So that's why they have third-party ones that would work maybe on all the devices, Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPad, Android. So if you're going to use a password manager of any type and you have multiple platforms, like you got a Windows computer and then you have an iPhone, I would say look at the third-party ones that have a version of their app for all the platforms, because you don't want to have different versions of that, because then your passwords can get real wonky. It could turn into a bigger mess than you want to deal with.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all my passwords. So now I've them written on those plastic, like cards that you could put Braille on it, lasts longer. So it's just hard to find sometimes. So this would help a lot.
Hey, it's Chris. I think doing research into what's most accessible on, say, the PC, if that's what you're using. But I go the low-tech version. I don't have a password manager other than what is on Apple products. But I write mine down in Braille. And maybe if you had a little file box that you kept them in, or you had a little notebook or something where they would stay together. And then I also print them out. I have in the drawer in my desk, I have a printout. And I need to update that so that in case something happens to me, someone can find that and then they have my information. So it's not always a high-tech route that you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go on our website and you can search for what is a password and why do you need one. And you can listen to the podcast, and it gives you tons of information and gives you, some knowledge on more detailed information on what a password manager is and how they work and stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I'll try that.
Yep.
You are at about 11 minutes to the hour, and Roberta is next.
Thanks, Tammy.
You're welcome.
I just want to respond to the password issue. I have a strangely wired brain, and I've come up with a formula that works for me. And I just wanted to share it quick. So, and I'm going to use Michael Babcock as an example. So take your last name. I assume it's Babcock. And then 3 letters that are associated with whatever the item is. Okay, so let's say it's an Amazon. So I would use the letters AMZ, and then a 4-digit number that's the same in every password, and then the presence or absence of a question mark. So what I would do is I would use, so every password would start with Babcock. Then either the first and second letter or the second and third letter of AMZ is alphabetized. And the 4-digit code, 4-digit number is always the same. And the question mark could be present or not present. And I can write down 2 AMZ question mark and know that the passcode is Babcock A, capital M, capital Z, whatever you choose your 4-digit number to be, and a question mark. And so that can be completely out in the open and no one would ever be able to figure out what it is. So it's just another means of coming up with it's like creating your own password manager.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's whatever works for you and whatever it's going to be easiest for you to be able to, manage your passwords. So whether that's getting an app or coming up with a creative way like you're doing and you're talking about that works for you, And so it's all kind of a personal preference. Just
Yep.
whatever works for you is what I would say to do.
Absolutely.
You have one last hand. You want to go ahead and take that?
Yep.
Okay. It's 970057.
Hi, this is Estelle, and I have a BlindShell Classic 2, and there are many times when I'm reading an email or even an Internet Outlook, and the screen does not finish the sentence, but it has an ellipsis, and I assume that means there's more somewhere, but I can't find it. And I wondered how I get to the rest of the sentence from that screen that has the ellipsis.
Often when you press your down button after the ellipsis, there's a read more or more link. If that doesn't appear, then what I would try doing is simply pressing the OK button and then choosing the use information from text option, and then you may find a link there.
Okay, I'll give that a try. Thank you very much.
No worries, and thanks a lot for joining. We really appreciate each and every one of you. I'll hand it over to Marty to thank everyone and wrap it up.
Yep. Thanks everyone for being here as always. Tammy and Brad, thanks so much for all you guys do for us. We appreciate it. And if you guys want to check out what we have going on, you can check out our website at unmute.show. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, you can email us at feedback@unmute.show. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you guys soon.